Hey everyone, welcome back to our latest installment of the MSP Business School. Today we've got Tommy Wolosin coming to us from Networks in Nashville, Tennessee. Also with me today, as always, I've got Tim McNeil and Rob Rogers from OSR Manage joining me as co-hosts. And, Tommy, we're going to turn the tables to you. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and Networks and a little bit about your history?
Thank you. Thank you. So Tommy Wolosin and Networks, we've been in business, we're going on 19 years. That's kind of surreal for us as an organization. I jokingly will say I had a little bit extra color in my beard. It's not just the stress of the tech work that has led to the change, but it's been an awesome journey. My background, I was in the Air Force for about 10 years.
Nice.
I did WAN and LAN development in the Air Force. And ironically, kind of fast forward to where we are today, about 12 years ago, a business coach hit me on the head and said, "You're much more relationship driven and people driven. And you're back then, a new client was a happy accident instead of a process that kind of created not necessarily a guaranteed outcome, but something different." And so I moved into the sales and marketing, kind of a VCIO, working with organizations role. I'll tell you that my passion's actually working with deaf kids. I know sign language, and as a part of our business plan, I've been volunteering with deaf and hard of hearing kids for only about 13 years.
Wow.
While
Very
we
cool.
do enjoy the technology piece of what we do as a company, we definitely have that, well, what I would define as a lifestyle business, but it doesn't detract from the professionalism that we have as a company.
That's awesome.
Wow, that's
But
great.
thank you for your service too.
Yes. Yeah, I didn't realize you were in the Air Force, and I kind of remember you talking in the past about volunteering for deaf kids. So that's cool. That's
Yeah, we
very
can
cool that
talk
you're still
offline
doing that.
about it, but I'll share with you some of my F-16 flight time.
Nice.
Very
Nice.
cool.
Awesome.
Very cool. So so over the last 19 years, I mean, we've got kind of a unique relationship with you, Tommy. We've been working with you for probably 4 or 5 years at this point. And we've kind of seen you were already pretty mature as a company when we started working with you, I would say. And and I know that that's kind of increased over time. What would you say some of the factors have been to kind of get you from where you started to where you are now?
Well, one of the biggest ahas for me, and I do have a business partner, and for lack of a better word, he's really the yin to my yang. If you look at us from a personality perspective on disc profile and Myers-Briggs and those kinds of things, we are polar opposites. But how we run the company and the stability that we try to maintain is exactly on the same footprint. So having him also makes a big difference in how we've leveraged our talents instead of being the owner that wears every hat. We've been able to be very strategic in that. I will tell you, business coaching was huge for us, realizing that we understood technology, but running a business is a whole other animal.
Right.
And so early on, we adopted strategies around a coaching mentality, always wanting to learn, always wanting to grow as an organization, collaboration with not only other MSPs around the country. What are they doing well, and what are you not doing well, and how do you change that? Your organization, there's a constant flow of mentorship that goes on back and forth, and so utilizing that talent around you, I don't have to know all the answers. I just have to know all the people that do have the answers, and so we take a very coachable approach to how we run the business. And it's interesting because we also seek out clients with that same mentality, which creates a very synergistic partnership with clients.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Very nice.
Very interesting. Yeah, I think everybody on this call has probably seen the emergence of just a lot of new peer groups popping up all over the place. And I can tell you, Rob and I joined one, oh God, almost 2 years ago at this point. And it was one of the better things that we ever did as a company.
Totally
Really
agree.
just changed everything and getting serious about EOS too, that helped. But yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome.
So Tommy, are you part of a peer group or just a coach? Are you just
We do a little bit of, I want to say we do a little bit of everything. In reality, us as a business, and this goes as the business evolves, none of us are great at everything we do in business. Instead, you look at facets that you're weakest on and go, how do I improve upon that this year or this month or this quarter? And so we do True Methods, the Schniz Fest, right?
Yep.
And there are elements about that we love, and there are elements that we can't bring to the Nashville market, right? I do a lot of, or I used to do a ton of networking. I mean, I was like the king of networking here in Nashville. Now a lot of it's more web-based, which changes the intimacy that you'd have in that environment. I mean, I make a great wingman. I used to joke about that. And, you know, people, when they're hiring you as a company, they're hiring first and foremost the personality and the ethics behind the people that you're working with. The technical aspect is probably the easiest part. And so I've always been pretty good at really sharing my passion for life and business, and the fact that we are always going to go the extra mile for somebody. And so, we just, a lot of networking in that environment. We did MSP University, obviously OSR, but our vendors, we've always been very engaged with attending their conferences. So we're a big SOFO shop. We've only been with SOFOs for 18 years. We tend to be a loyalist when it comes to product sets. Like, there's some MSPs that sell every single firewall that exists out there.
Right.
They're not good at any one of them. And it's a diluted relationship, in my opinion, right? Instead, we've gone to our vendors and work actively with them to say, we want to know your product inside out. And if I have to call a rep to get pricing on a product that I've been working on for 18 years, I've already missed the boat, right? And instead, they're bringing me leads that I wouldn't otherwise acquire because they don't have to answer silly questions that I should know as an MSP. So we utilize our vendor relationships to just be more active.
So I'm going to ask you a question then, because one of the biggest challenges I see in the MSP community is the bright, shiny toy syndrome, right? So how do you keep yourself focused that way? What are some of the decisions that, made you get focused on staying with certain technologies, growing those relationships versus, trying different platforms or trying different technologies repeatedly? Because I see that to be one of the biggest success inhibitors for a lot of MSPs, because there's just constant change, learning curve, reestablishing. So, tell me kind of how you guys ended up there a little bit.
That's so ironic. I'm going to grab something here, and just for those that may watch this later, I promise you this was not scripted, but it was a squirrel, because let me tell you, I am like the shiny objects guy. In a room, I have learned over time that I have to sit facing the least activity. Otherwise, unintentionally, I'm going to lose focus on what's important and go, there's a shiny object. Okay.
Right.
So I'm drinking the Kool-Aid, so to speak. So you have to one, first and foremost, know the needs of your clients. And that is through like VCIO process is a great way. We do monthly calls with our clients, and we do quarterly meetings. Now, every MSP that's out there knows that they're never going to get a meeting with every single one of their clients. That doesn't mean you don't offer it. That doesn't mean you don't schedule it. That doesn't mean you don't attend and say, hey, I'm sorry that I missed you today. I'm sure that you were busy. Here's a couple highlights of the things that I was going to talk about with you, right? You keep that engagement. And so, so you have to know where your clients are and what product sets are going to best support them. And then at least in those vertical areas, that's an area that you always need to be, as an MSP, disaster recovery planning, network security, those are all kind of the standard things. Office 365, we were an early adopter of BPAWS, which was a predecessor to Office 365. It was kind of their roadmap. The reason why we invested into it is because for the average client needing an Exchange server, you're talking $15,000 potentially on a server for 5 users. You take that same server for 25 users, it's still the same $15,000. And so organizations that wanted a secure email platform that were under 15 users, really didn't see the financial benefit to make that investment. And so we look at the product sets that we think are going to be valuable to our clients. We do a lot of R&D, at least exploring products. One telltale point for me is as I'm talking and collaborating with other MSPs, when I hear a certain product set research mentioned 2 or 3 times, it's enough for me to engage it in conversation at least. And then it's up to me to start exploring that as a potential product set. I'll tell you, my business partner does a lot of our R&D, or he'll do the heavy lifting and then bring it to me to kind of go, can I bring this to market? And so not wearing all those marketing hats, so to speak, has been helpful. But we just look at how it's going to benefit our clients. On the front end, we'll look at the cost. There are certain products that are too expensive in the market. And I just know based on where my clients are, if I want to add that to their monthly reoccurring cost, are they just going to say this isn't even something we consider? And if so, maybe pause the investment. We do dedicate time every month to do some of that research too. So it's very, for us, it's very intentional to at least spend time developing strategies rather than just waiting on the shiny object products to show up and go, we want to look at that.
So I'd like to know, so that's very interesting, that future approach. And you said that you devoted time per month in kind of like a strategic way. How much time are you guys devoting each month towards the R&D side of that?
So it really depends on a couple things. Well, we devote about 7 hours a month towards research and development. However, it's kind of it's almost like pooled minutes. If this month we're exploring, I'll give you a case in point. So we've had a lot of organizations really want us to move to voice over IP. The need is there. We've always had the mindset, I'd rather be great at a few things than good at a bunch of things, right?
Yep.
And we've also had telecom companies that we've partnered with, but what we've seen over the years is there's no reciprocating of business. It's like, I'm giving you business. We're not taking a referral fee or any monthly recurring from that product. And sometimes the support doesn't match how we handle support.
Right.
They're waiting 2 or 3 days. And so since it's outside of our organization, outside of our culture, we're realizing the need from the client is not just the phone system, it's the culture that we bring with it. And so we may spend, like this month alone, 14 hours, double the time, just this month on some pretty heavy lifting. Whereas next month, if there's not as much of a need, but I'll tell you that me and my business partner, 2 hours a week, we meet just with the idea of team development and company development. And so we shut off our phones. We're not answering emails. We are not distracted by everything that can affect our business day. A lot of times we haven't done it because of COVID, but we go away about once a quarter. We'll go play someplace fun. We may even bring an engineer with us, one of my senior engineers, and we'll have dinner. We'll sit down like in an Airbnb and really just hammer out, like, what are things going? You get that clarity when all the noise around you isn't there. So I think just setting aside that time and sticking to that in the schedule will at least help you in that process.
Cool.
Oh, very interesting.
Well, I echo your sentiment. You said we're living in the world of threes. It's amazing how that comes up, right? You hear something a few different times, and that's when time is to explore. When we're looking at new feature requests, I won't even pay attention to them until I've heard it the third time. So it just reinforces my belief. Thank you for that. So, I always like to understand a little bit about some of the adversity or challenges you guys face during your time and growth. Like, every company has that pivotal moment where the light bulb goes off and things change. Tell me a little bit about the growth trajectory for networks and where you really feel that change occurred for your business. Or has it occurred, right?
There seems to be this, about every 5 years, there seems to be this hurdle. And you'll hear it through a lot of the MSP channels where they talk about, you're gonna grow, you're gonna add MRR, and then you're gonna hire people, and your rate's gonna, your billable rate's gonna drop, and then you're gonna increase it again over time. It's interesting. I have a philosophy, and this seems to resonate with most of my clients and even new people I meet. My mentality in business is it's much easier to keep you happy than go find another you. So our loss rate of clients, if you were to say today, Tommy, can you refer me to somebody that's going to speak of you as an organization? I'm going to send you a referral that's 12 years old in writing and have you call that same client. And I'm not going to call them to say, you're calling, would you say something good about me? The longevity that we maintain with clients really allows us to be not just profitable, but MRR is king when you're an MSP.
Yep.
You can
definitely
forecast income. You can forecast when you're going to hire. You can forecast when you're going to make investments that cost you more now and you're going to benefit later. When you're going to give a raise to one of your best staff, how much is that raise going to be? And do you have the residual income to do that? Do you have peace with that decision and know that the money's going to be there? And so our mentality has always been some level of growth. We tend to grow about 15 to 22% a year over year. So it's a pretty good growth rate.
Yeah.
But we're not losing clients on the back end. So it's not really this kill mentality of like, let me just get you in the door and hope that you stay with me for a period of time. I joke about it, but I say we rate our relationships with our clients by how many Christmas parties we get invited to. I will tell you,
I love it.
And when I talk to a new potential client that says, wait a minute, you've been with a company for 17 plus years and you're still doing their white elephants and you're still doing their Christmas parties, like we get really immersed in how a company does business. We take the business coaching philosophy and apply that to the client. But probably that mentality of like new business is always nice, but keep what you've got was a pivotal thing for us. Hiring the right people. We've got a company here in Nashville where we invested up front so that we could multiply top performers. And so each one of our positions has been rated through testing. And when we bring in somebody to interview for a position area of the company, we interview you. If we like you, the next thing we do is we send you a test. If you don't test 80% or higher based on the benchmarks, you're not right for the position. You're not right, maybe not right for the company. And so I've lost 2 techs in 18 years. So when I don't lose techs and I don't have the churn associated with tech loss and somebody who loves that tech that just left, and I'm not losing clients, really we're at a point where every new client is gravy for us. It's the icing on the cake. I've walked away from blank checks, and I know that for some MSPs, they get that. For a newer MSP, they're like, I'll just take, if the check is there.
Yeah. Any money is good money.
Any money is good.
In the beginning.
Until they're calling you on Christmas Eve because somebody can't open up a Word document.
Yeah.
That could wait until Monday. Like you're losing staff and you're losing staff's desire to want to be always go above and beyond when they're taking those calls. And so taking care of our teams, taking care of our clients is big. By doing some of the testing we've done with our team members, I know who is financially incentivized and who's incentivized by days off, what is their motivation, right?
Right.
And so because of that, we don't lose people very infrequently, take good care of what you got. Our mentality right now has been, there's new businesses out there, but I'll tell you, some people would rather deal with the pain that they're dealing with than the fear of the change that they might get. Right.
Oh, 100%.
So
yeah.
Our shift has been, what do you need? How can we help you? I'm doing things like, I don't know if I've got one handy here, but we bought hand sanitizer. Bought hand sanitizer with the Networks logo on it, right? Like we ordered it. And all I'm doing is bagging them up and sending them out to clients and say, hey, we're thinking about you guys. give these out to your staff, right? Like just little things, not highly expensive things. It keeps you in the flow. It's practical, right? Your clients that are investing into things like that, their one question is, where'd you get it? And how do I get some too? Right.
Right.
And so that kind of mentality of like being personalized with our clients has just kept us front and center. And it's amazing what somebody will say about you when they think of you that way.
So I got a question for you. Two questions, right? So number one, what is your average client longevity? So yeah, like I know what the industry average is. What is yours?
It's interesting because what ends up happening is as you add a new client, you just completely kill, that.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
But if I had to take our average with the exception of like brand new MSPs that I just signed on, it's about 12 years.
Jeez.
I will tell you that we manage the only 5-star 5-diamond hotel in Middle Tennessee. Now, when you consider 5-star 5-diamond, that's like if you want green jelly beans, I'll make sure you have green jelly beans.
Right.
And
Right.
what temperature do you want them at, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so everything that goes on behind there in that 5-star realm is really what makes the experience happen for the guest. It's all about the guest experience, right?
Yep.
We've only been with them 16 years. It's just, and then ironically from that, there is another 350-acre hotel going in Middle Tennessee that we are building the entire technology strategy for because we have proof and concept.
Yep.
We have proof in what we do. Now, with that being said, we don't necessarily want franchise organizations who are more of a concierge driven, but even down to, we even bought jackets like for our organizations that were client facing and they are a service-based organization. We have jackets there so that when we're in the footprint of the public, we're wearing a jacket and we look like we're part of the staff. And for organizations that see that, they go, you really think about how we do business.
Oh, that's a great idea. That is a great idea. I've never thought of doing
I've
that
never heard of that.
Never heard of it.
Yeah. All right, I got one more question before we move on here. So you've clearly kept your employees for a very, very long time and kept them very happy. So what is the one culture thing that you guys are doing that that you're really super proud of on the culture side?
Everybody's an owner, and that is not in the bylaws. It's not in how we, there's no shares that are being distributed, but the one comment I get from clients is everybody acts like an owner. We do quarterly bonus with the guys based on or quarterly profit sharing based on the revenue of the company. So they know the more the company makes, the more that they're going to make. We invest a lot back in them. We take a very open door approach in that I think I have good ideas, but I'll tell you that my guys they're the ones that are really making things happen. Like I can promise cold fusion, but it's up to them to like invent it. Nobody. From a sales perspective, I'm telling them it's got to be done by tomorrow, right?
Yeah. Right.
And so instead of we take a very collaborative approach with them in this work from home environment. My wife is, she works at school system, but she's been here and she's like, your meetings are just fun. Like we do since COVID came, since the onset of COVID, and we do an 8:30 meeting and we do a 3 o'clock meeting. We call the 3 o'clock meeting, it's 5 o'clock somewheres, and the 8:30 meeting is like it's coffee time.
Right.
We do 2 meetings a day with our team. And then on Tuesdays, we do about a 3.5 hour meeting where we go over every single ticket, every single project, where we are with everything. And it's very collaborative. And so everybody feels like they own a stake in what's happening. We do take a very family first mentality in business. If your child is sick and you need to stay home, work from home. Now, obviously everybody's working from home, at least to some degree now, but even before this, our mentality was if it's important to you, then it's important to us. And we would not just say that, it would be backed by our actions. And so, that's probably, and I will tell you, those people would lay on a sword for you. Like, if it's 5 o'clock and they know it's going to take 5:30 to finish this project, they're going to stay till 5:30 to finish things out. They will go to the nth degree because they know that their work environment stays low stress. In fact, my clients, that's one of the biggest questions I receive is, how do you keep your team so calm and collective? Because every time we see them, they just seem like they got a good handle on things and they're not stressed out. They don't feel rushed. I don't feel like I'm on the phone with the tech that's like, I got to get 50 tickets today. How quickly can I get you off the phone? It's kind of reverse engineered. So
I love it. Okay.
Awesome.
Oh, that's great.
All right. So I think we're heading into the speed round. So take a drink there, Tommy, and then we'll head into it here. So these are just, 5 quick questions. Love to get your thoughts on it. Don't think too hard, just answer. First one, text, talk, or Teams?
I am a hockey goalie. I communicate with you in the way that you want to communicate with me.
All right.
Yeah.
Music, movies, or TV?
Movies.
At what age do you want to retire?
Probably 55.
Mac or Windows?
Windows.
And if you could do anything outside of tech, what would it be?
One of two things, either coaching or working with kids.
Awesome. Well,
Very
thank you
cool.
so much, Tommy, for joining us today. It was really great to hear about your approach to culture, both at the customer level and at the employee level. I think what you've really demonstrated here is if you can manage both those worlds, merge them together, good things happen. So really happy to hear what's going on for you in networks, and thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on, Tommy.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
All right,
Thank you.
guys.